Someone asked, how did you feel about your son marrying a white woman? I wasn't going to ask you that, but I felt they said it and I was like,
Yes, Craig and I had that conversation, whether you know it or not,
you did?
in the very beginning. Yes, we did.
Hey guys, I just had a conversation I wanted to share with my husband, Craig Melvin's mom, Betty Jo Melvin. She has been in my life now for more than a decade. She lives in South Carolina. She's an educator, and I've been wanting to have a conversation with her about race. I wanted to hear about her experiences growing up, her experiences as a mom, raising her two boys. So we talked about that. We also talked about her suggestions on the conversation that I should have with my kids who are biracial, but also her thoughts on this time. I asked her some questions that you guys had sent in as well. So I want to share this conversation. It's very honest. I in no way am trying to act like there's anything that was discovered here except truly hearing her perspective, which I think is a very important one. So I hope you take something from this, and would love to hear your thoughts. Something struck me the other day when I called you, before I get into certain questions I have. And, you know, Melvin, my husband, was covering the protests down in Washington. And when we got on the phone together, you mentioned what the day was like for you, watching him do that. And I was wondering if you would just share a little bit about what that's like for you, because I know for me as a wife, I don't talk about that so much because I know that a lot of other people are also in that situation, but it's not easy. What was that like for you?
As a mother, I was nervous and I was worried because I've got two things here. Craig's a journalist, but he's also a black male, and the world sees him as a black male. And being in the middle of protest, peaceful or whatever, I was worried. Especially when I started to hear certain sounds, because I'm listening for sounds. I'm looking to see who's around him. As a black mother, we're always worried about our sons.
Give people a little bit of a background for, you know, you grew up in South Carolina, but what it was like when you grew up.
I grew up when you had to get on a bus. You had to get on the front of the bus, put your coins in, get off the bus, get in, and go to the back of the bus. I could not sit in the front of the bus. Okay. I also walked to school. I walked about 2 miles to school. We did not have libraries. We didn't have books. We got the books that the quote white schools were finished with. We got the desks that they were finished with. I walked to school as children would spit out of the windows on the bus. We were taught how to act a certain way and what not to do to provoke anybody. That's how I grew up. I also grew up with the KKK, so I know a little bit about Lexington County. And I grew up when the bathroom said blacks only and whites only.
What was that like? I mean, having to grow up and being in those situations, what did your parents or your family explain to you about that?
It was what they told us to do and not to do. We had to respect policemen. You didn't say anything. You stayed in your place. You stayed in your place, and you had a place. So we all stayed in our place. Um, was I afraid of the police? Probably. I didn't see police like children see police now. They're there to help you. I didn't see the police like that as a black child.
A lot of people have said to me, white women, men also, but people have said that they feel helpless, that in this time of everything going on and there's such a desire for change that they don't know what to do. And also specifically, people are talking about things to say, like what do you say, what don't you say? And I think it's interesting. I was thinking about one of the ways Melvin, my husband, like he'll say, he jokes with me. I'll be saying something and I'll say someone's black as a, you know, describing them, and he'll say, "Oh, you can say African American," and I'll say, "Okay, well, African American," and he'll go, "Oh, you can say black." Like, so he turns it into a joke, but really, I mean, that's kind of what it hits the core of, is not understanding if you're going to offend someone, you know? So I don't know. What do you think about that? When people say, I feel helpless and I also don't know where the boundaries are, like, what do you say?
Especially with the African American and the black American, whether you offend somebody, you kind of sort of sometimes have to know your audience. With me, I'm 65. It does not matter whether you say black or African American, long as you don't call me anything negative. You have to be careful. You do have to be careful as to what you say to blacks, especially right now, or because you may offend them. And when I say the things that, I need you to respect my opinion. I think that's all we're asking for right now is respecting us, trying to understand what we're feeling as mother of black men, black grandboys that excuse me, in this world it's a little bit different for them. It's different from them from the time they are young until they are older. Even in this world, they have to compete a little bit harder, a little bit. They can't do the same things to get the same results. Someone that has the same qualifications that they have, if he's white or someone else. So you teach your children from when they're younger that I need you to be more. You have to push them hard.
You think it's still that way?
Yes. Right now, yes. And I think that's why we are where we are now in this country.
That conversation left me with a lot to process, and I really appreciate my mother-in-law for her honesty and her time. The talk took much longer than we both expected. And because of that, that was part one. I've broken it into 3 different parts. Part 2 and 3 I will be posting soon. In the next couple talks that I'm going to share with her, you will hear her reaction to the current events going on in our world right now, including the death of George Floyd. And I asked her specifically when she thinks it is appropriate to begin having that conversation about race with my kids. So I hope that that may be helpful for you too. Again, my goal here is to start a conversation, continue the conversation, and hopefully help people that feel uncomfortable having these kinds of talks, helping them find a different way to navigate that and to make them feel more comfortable. I want this to be an ongoing conversation, and I really want to hear from you. I want to interact and engage. So I would love to hear your thoughts. Let's make this a space to do that. And let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching, and I would love to hear from you. Stay tuned for the next part of this conversation coming soon.